Good morning and welcome back to the Higher Grounds podcast. Today on the episode, we're going to be having just a great time, a wonderful time of fellowship with Brother Stephen and with Brother Michael. And we're talking about today funny things that have happened to us in the ministry. I've been in the ministry now on 30 years, serving the Lord by serving people. And if you don't develop a good sense of humor and look at things through the lens of what's humorous and what's not, and learn to differentiate between the two, you'll about go crazy. But we've had some funny things that have happened to us in the ministry, and we want to share them with you today. Hopefully, this will be a joyful episode where you'll just enjoy listening and fellowshipping with us today. So you stay tuned to the Higher Grounds podcast. Good morning and welcome back to the Higher Grounds podcast. Thank you for joining us today. It's our privilege and our honor to come every Monday morning, 6 a.m., with some more material for you. I hope you're getting some help from the podcast. We've been hearing quite a bit from folks around the country in regard to the Morning Minute meditations that we have going. And I hope they're a blessing to you and a help to you as well. And you can visit the Morning Minute Meditations on all of our social media platforms. And so you come by and we'll have some good nuggets for you from the Word of God, from the men sitting with me, myself as well. And then, of course, we have guests that come on and give us some material from time to time. So thank you again from the crew of the Higher Grounds podcast for you coming by and being with us. Well, good morning, Brother Steve. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Amen.
I'm doing great. Good to be back in studio today.
Yes.
And this is the first time in a little while we've had all three of us back.
Oh, I know.
Back in studio. Brother Michael is a man in high demand.
He is.
And
he is.
so we're able to have him back with us in studio, and that's a great thing.
World traveler.
And so we're glad he's back here. And Brother Michael, I've tried my best to buffet some of his comments that were toward you, but
there's been
but it wasn't just me. There were other people.
There was a guest appearance.
I did not elicit those comments from those people. I didn't inspire them.
Yeah.
They just
Brother Michael Lindsay's first statement was, something I'm better looking or my head's not as big.
Something
that was
about my head.
first thing he came
I
out
heard
with
him.
It's became shameless fodder on the podcast to pick on my head, and that's okay. I mean, it is what it is,
You got that right.
It is what it is, and it may be unidentifiable for most people, but hey, it is what it is, right? And so, hey, I want to thank you for the shameless plug for Brother Steve and myself about the morning meditations. And we know that behind the scenes, we kind of don't always, do the best about getting those in, but I appreciate the encouragement.
No, you do a great job.
That was your help a snowflake answer right there.
Yeah, it was. See, it was my word of prophecy. I was speaking it into being what I wanted out of it.
I got you. Yes, sir. We'll see if it works.
If it don't, I'm going to call Jesse Duplantis and tell him it don't work.
It don't work. That's right. Yeah, he'll be devastated.
Hey, do you have a quote of the day for us?
I do. It's not as much of a spiritual quote.
Yeah.
But it is. It does fit the podcast subject matter today. It comes from the great Nacho Libre.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
And Nacho Libre said something to this effect: "My life is good, really good."
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah,
that's the quote of the day.
Yeah,
that's good. I have a quote of the day as well.
What was your quote of the day?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get a quote Nacho because that'll take up the whole. There's a lot of great lessons learned,
right?
There.
Yeah,
and we've had a lot of fun with Nacho at youth camp,
right?
But my quote of the day is, "You better learn to laugh because in ministry there'll be plenty to cry about."
Uh-oh.
We're not real sure.
Author unknown.
And if we knew, if I think it's who I think it is, we ain't quoting him on here anyway. At least not his name.
I was getting ready to say probably every pastor that's been in over 5 years maybe might would have said that at some time or another.
Yeah. I'll guarantee you that's right. Well, that's kind of a good segue into what we're going to be talking about today. But before we do, let us give a shameless plug to the Black Rifle Coffee Company.
Oh, yes.
The Black Rifle Coffee Company. I was just in Savannah, Georgia at the company and had the dubious honor of picking up a few bags of Black Rifle coffee. This is a company owned by some retired Spec Ops veterans, and they employ a lot of veterans, U.S. veterans. I wouldn't call them I wouldn't call them a Christian coffee company, but they do make some pretty good coffee.
Yeah,
I like it.
Good cup of coffee.
Good cup of coffee.
Yep.
Wouldn't you agree, Brother Mike?
Well, I come in today needing a little, I guess you could say, shot in the arm.
Yeah.
And I think I almost had a heart attack when I drank my first swallow. So, I mean, to most people, that's a good cup of coffee, you know. I had to really taper it down with a lot of sweetening and stuff. And, but hey,
Brother.
it's kind of, if you've never had the Black Rifleman coffee, just imagine the scent of a truck driver's underarm.
Yeah.
Is kind of what you're getting when you open the bag.
It's not Black Rifleman. I mean, we're not talking about the TV show. We're talking
Okay, sorry, I got that.
Black Rifle.
My fault.
Brother Wesley Webb says he doesn't drink coffee. Says he said that it smells like a skunk. I said, if you find some coffee that smells like a skunk,
That's good
That's
coffee.
good coffee. That's that.
That's
Closer
right.
to a
That's
skunk
right.
it smells
That's
like. That's
Pass
the
the
good
smell test.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah, brother Michael came in. He's swallowing on the coffee. He's going,
Yeah.
and he's drinking it with like 4 sweet and lows and about 17 French vanillas.
I'm a frou-frou man.
And then I'm drinking black coffee going, man, this is great, man. My voice is like, this is great. Mike's going, this is bad coffee.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
kinda the way it went. Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
But it is good coffee. We ground the beans today,
Yep.
and so this is about as fresh as it gets. And so
Absolutely.
I'm enjoying that. We'll bring you some more coffee of different flavors and brands.
Yeah.
And again, once again, send it in.
Send it
You
in.
Send it in.
Yeah.
We'll drink it. That's a promise.
Absolutely.
Well, we're talking today about a merry heart being good like a medicine. That'd be Proverbs 15:13.
Yep.
Solomon, of course, was a wise man and was a man that, of course, pursued a lot of things in life, good and bad. But he was he was God's man.
Sure.
And Solomon made that statement: "A merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance."
I believe
and
that.
that's in Proverbs 15:13.
Yep.
And then he said this. He said, "A merry heart doeth good like a medicine." That's Proverbs 17:22. But a broken spirit drieth up the bones. And so he was talking about the importance of having an enjoyable life, I
Yeah.
believe,
Oh, yeah.
and enjoying yourself and enjoying your sense of humor, I guess, would be a good statement. What do you think, Michael?
I'm over here trying to contain my merriness as you misquoted that first time. Whenever you said
What, the 15:13?
yeah, when you said
Whoa. Do we have a misquote?
Yeah, we have them all the time on here. But when you said a merry heart doeth good like a medicine, Proverbs 15:13, and I was looking at it, and I thought, that's not really what that verse says. But I was going along with it. Anyway.
You didn't. I mean, you didn't
my.
allow me to recover.
I'm sorry. I thought you did. It was a real smooth
I did a
transition
great
right
job
back in.
were it not for your fat mug over there.
That's true too. Just blame everything. My head gets blamed for everything goes wrong on this podcast. I don't know what in the world's going on. Oh, help me, Lord.
Well, I mean, I recovered.
Yeah,
Yes,
you did
you did.
great.
And well.
You did great. I got a
That's
kick out of
30
it.
years in the ministry.
Yeah, my
right
heart's all
there.
merry about the whole happening.
Well, if I added a few moments of time to your miserable existence, I will consider
That's true too.
myself
Yes,
to have
sir.
been successful
Yeah,
in
let the
life.
good times roll.
Well, let me ask you. Now that we're doing this, of
Right.
course, I believe that God gives us a sense of humor. I mean, that's a part of the
Absolutely.
makeup. Now,
Yes, sir.
I know some people. I've tried to go to town and buy a sense of humor and give it to them, but I couldn't find one half price. They weren't worth full price of sense of humor.
Yeah.
But some people are as serious as a blood clot in a fat man's leg, and
Absolutely.
they can't
That's
find
serious.
any joy in anything.
Yeah.
But I believe that sense of humor, even Jesus, I believe, had one.
Yeah.
But it's something that the scriptures really contain. They don't allow us to see into any of the laughter or frivolity that Christ may have enjoyed in the 33 years of his life and living. But though we can't see it, doesn't mean that it wasn't there.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And it doesn't mean it wasn't a part of the makeup of all of the disciples or Jesus himself.
Sure.
But I've had, I enjoy laughing.
Yes,
and I
sir.
enjoy having
Absolutely.
just a fun time. And of course, my sense of humor is a little, what would you call it, Michael?
Strange, yeah,
Twisted.
real strange, yeah. It seems to always be at someone else's expense.
Well, that's the
You know?
point. I think that's kind of what I was trying to get at.
And I feel like I should get some rewards one day in heaven
You
because
will.
I've added a lot
You
of
will.
laughter to your life. It seems like.
I've asked the Lord to give you some rewards,
I praise the Lord for that. Then
and I get to pick them.
maybe.
Well, the fact of the matter is, if you're going to be in in ministry, and if you're going to be in youth camps, and you're going to be, I mean, you better have a sense of humor.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to see some things.
Oh,
you
man.
better learn to kind of laugh and let things go instead of just
man.
being. And that's one thing that makes what we do just a little bit better.
Absolutely.
I enjoy it.
So
Absolutely.
what's some, like, as a pastor, what are some comical, funny things that have happened to you in the ministry?
Oh, listen to this. The story we refer to back at our place as the resurrection of Bobby.
Oh, my.
Yeah, there is a story
This
to
has gotta
tell
be
there.
good.
This is good. Yeah, I'll make it short and get right to the point. But we had a couple coming in. They were actually riding on our buses at one time. And they'd been coming for 3, 4, 5 weeks. You know, we were getting to know them and ministering to them, what have you. They've been in several services. And I get a phone call on a Monday, you know, of all days when your phone rings on a Monday, usually, you know, you're trying to recover from the day before. And so there's a lady on the other end, and she's very, very moved. I mean, emotionally, she's not hysterical, but she's sobbing, you know. And as soon as I answer the phone, and she's like, Pastor, Bobby's dead, Bobby's dead. And, you know, so I immediately go into the mode of trying to figure out how I'm going to comfort this lady. And then I'm trying to figure out, okay, where is everyone at? You know, how can I get to you? And, and she acts like this has happened very recently, you know, but, you know, we'll be home in an hour or two. Could you come by there? Sure, be there. So I called Brother Bo Redmond. Of course, you know, at that time we're working hand in hand. And I called Brother Bo. I said, man, I need you to make a visit with me. I said, let's take some food by. Let's go see this family. Let's find out what's going on here, how we can be a help. So we run by the grocery store because, you know, it's a family that probably had a great need in that regard, and we didn't want this to be a time when they were battling that, you know, as well as just all the tragedy. We go by the grocery store, pick up some food for the family. We walk in, got bags of groceries, you know, and where can we set the food? And we sit it down and we start talking to them. And guess who walks out of the back room?
Oh, my.
Bobby. And he walks in the back, and she. I said, man, we're so sorry about Bobby's passing. And she looks at me and she says, oh no, there's been a miracle. And I look at Bo and I said, wow, this is interesting. And here comes Bobby walking out of the back room. I look at Bo. Brother Bo looks at me, and I said, I think it's time for us to go. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know how Bobby got it from the dead.
The resurrection of Bobby.
But the phone call was, Bobby's dead, and Bobby ain't dead.
Yeah.
And so we laugh about it now, but when we walked out of that house that day, I was like, "This is the strangest thing I've ever been a part of in my life." I don't know if it was a some kind of a plea to get help. I mean, I will help you anytime in any way, but don't tell me Bobby's dead.
Hey, it happens. Just read the New Testament.
Yeah, okay,
It happens.
This was not no Lazarus resurrection event. I can promise you that right now.
Did you unwrap him from his grave clothes?
Oh no, sir! I got out of Dodge. What I did.
Was there a verse in verse number 35 that said Michael wept?
No, Michael was going. Because when I thought maybe they got a hold of Benny Hinn or a faith healer or something like that. I was astounded. I didn't know what in the world was going on. It took me about 30 minutes to process what we just saw. Then me and Bo's right down the road. We just start laughing.
Yeah, that's
Bobby. The resurrection.
Again, that's
of Bobby.
all you can do is laugh.
That's exactly right.
I don't go to the movies, you know, and I don't have time to watch TV, you know. So
Sure.
So if I'm going to get any laughs or any entertainment, it's going to be at church or
At the expense
around.
of someone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, my wife's got this maniacal sense of humor where, you know, she doesn't get she doesn't get jokes. She doesn't get anything that's humorous. Now, if you fall down the flight of steps,
Oh, yeah.
she's going to die laughing.
Yeah.
You know, or you trip and plant your face in something, she's going to die laughing. Or if you get scared to death, she's going to die laughing. But to tell her a joke, forget it. She just doesn't have that kind of sense of humor.
My, the count I'd like to give, it has something to do with the death as well.
Yeah, throw it on me.
And and I'm going to let you kind of tell the last detail about this story because it'll be where you come in. So 12 years ago, I get voted in as pastor of Lighthouse Baptist Church, and so I get voted on Mother's Day. That week on like Thursday or Friday. My wife gets a call from a lady, and she's sobbing. I mean, she's just wants to talk to the preacher. She doesn't want to talk to my wife. She wants to talk to the preacher. And so I get home that day. I was still working. And I got in that evening, and my wife said, "Such and such called. Man, they're just upset. They're crying. I mean, they're tore apart." And I knew that this person was already a little bit, we'll say, a little unstable, a little different, you know. And anyway, so I'm kind of debating about calling. And then while I'm debating, and shout out to my wife here, she says, "Honey, now she might want to get saved," because she had attended a church recently. I said, "Man, that is right. She might want to get saved." So I call her up, and she's buzzing. She said, "Can you come over?" And I go over. And as I pull in, I'm walking up these back steps. Of course, I notice a freshly hole that had been, where some dirt had been moved and things right beside the porch. And so I walk in, I knock on the door, and the husband and wife, they just kind of undo the door and turn in and walk in and said, "Come on in, preacher." So I'm walking in, and all the lights are off in the house. But there's candles burning everywhere. And now I grew up, I've seen way too many horror movies. So I had all kind of stuff going down. Like, oh yeah, they're fixing to kill me. I'm fixing to be a human sacrifice. So I'm walking in. I walk into their house, and there's candles everywhere, and the lady's on the couch bawling. And then there's one big candle burning underneath of a very large picture of a cat, black cat. And so they begin to tell me about their loved one that has died. And finally, I'm starting to make the connection. Oh, my Lord, I'm over here because the cat has died. And, they're needing to be consoled and going through all this stuff. And it wasn't even about really praying to help us. It was, they wanted to know, could I preach the funeral?
For the cat.
For the cat. So, I'm like, wow, I don't remember reading this in my manual. When Brother Andy and I were at Subway several years earlier talking about pastoring, I don't think we covered what to do when you're asked about this.
We didn't.
So, I'm like, oh, wow. I'm talking about bawling hysterical, and they tell me about all the supernatural powers the cat had, the times the cat saved somebody's life, all that kind of stuff. I said, I don't really know about all that. I said, but the Lord does care about you. And so I had a word of prayer, Lord, and I named the name and deal with spiritual needs, and I done that. And we're walking out, and where I'm standing at, closing out the conversation, I realized that I'm now standing on Gunny's grave.
Oh no!
Yeah, and so that was a little bit awkward, and they were a little bit offended by that, me standing walking around. And so I get in my car and I leave. The very next Tuesday, there is an obituary in the Paisley Progressive Journal. The Paisley Progressive Journal has this big long article that is about the cat, Gunny. The family members walks on down, got a picture of the cat, walks down, and the last statement is, "Funeral services conducted by Stephen Aldridge, pastor of the Lighthouse Baptist Church in Paisley."
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is my first week of pastoring. How does this even happen? How do you recover from that? And so I'm like, oh, Lord, maybe this won't come out. Well, the first Sunday in June, I have my ordination service. And I go through all my questions. And by the way, I was asked about ultra-dispensationalism in my ordination service. And so I don't know if that was anyway, on down the list. And so we get done. We've asked all the questions. I will now let Brother Andy finish telling the story.
So
this is my last question.
So when I heard about the obituary,
a bit.
I went through town and bought as many of those papers as I could buy. I photocopied this thing 1,000,000 times, and then in the ordination, so I said, "Brother Stephen," I said, "I have a question for you." I said, "When a person dies, where do they go?" He said, "Well, depending on whether you've been saved or not. If you've been saved, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And if you're lost, you wake up in a Christless eternity in hell."
Yeah.
And so he said, that's what happens. I said, "Well, let me ask you a question. A man is a trichotomy, a body, a soul, and spirit, right?" "Yes, sir." I said, is an animal a trichotomy, a body, a soul, and spirit?" I said, "No, sir, it's a body and a spirit." I said, "Okay." I said, "So
ordination."
Yeah. I said, "So when an animal dies, where does its spirit go?" He said, "Well, you put your body in the ground, and the spirit just descends into the earth, according to Ecclesiastes." I said, "Yes, sir, that is correct." I said, "So should we as preachers be doing funeral services for animals?" And I start handing out this obituary to all the guys in the
ordination.
Wow.
Yeah, that like friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll be honest with you. When you told me about their description of old Gunny, how he had saved others' lives, in my poor, twisted mind, I thought of a great funeral service text for you.
Yeah.
He saved others.
Yeah.
But he could not save himself.
That's exactly right. That's it. That's exactly right.
So I had this situation happen to me years ago. This big old man walks in church, had a little bitty wife. He's 6'6", 6'7", just a monster of a man. Walks in, he's an alcoholic. First service, he comes down to get saved, says he gets saved, and he does all of that, and his wife does too. And so I start discipling him, trying to bring him along, trying to bring him through the course, So his wife calls me one day on a Wednesday, and she says, my husband's in jail. I said, what's he in jail for? Said he got caught drunk, got in a fight with the law, and said they've abused him pretty bad, and so I'm going to get him out. So they went and got him out of the hospital, out of the jail. And so he come to church on Wednesday, and literally the skin's peeling off of his face where they pepper sprayed him about 1,000 times.
Yeah.
That's a big dude. And so because they abused him, they dropped the charges. So I said, tomorrow night you're going out on visitation with me. So he's in jail the night before. He's going on visitation with me on Thursday. So we're on visitation, and he said, I don't know what happened, preacher. I said, well, you didn't get away with it, did you? No. I said, well, Lord's trying to teach you. You're saved now. You ain't going to get away with this stuff.
Yeah.
So several weeks later, he goes with me on visitation. We go to this old drunk's house. And I said, Mike, tell this old fellow what God brought you out of, how God saved you. Well, he gives this little testimony. And he says, now, preacher, why don't you take me by my brother's house? He said, I want to go to my brother's house and witness to him and have him come to church. I said, I'd be glad to. I said, I'll go talk to him. No, you don't go. You just drop me out, and I'll go on, because if he sees you coming, he won't have anything to do with opening the door. All right, so I dropped him out. So about 11 o'clock at night, his wife calls and says, where's Mike? I said, well, I dropped him off at his brother's house. Said him and his brother don't get along. His brother kill him if he comes over there. She said, he's out trying to find drugs, what he's out doing, because he stole money from me. So sure enough, he did. I mean, he had stole money from his wife. He wound up back close to my house at a drop house, at a drug house, flop house.
Yeah.
And so that he didn't come to he come to church the next Sunday. So I walked up to him and I said, me and you got to have us a long talk. And so he takes off and leaves, And so I get one of my deacons on the next Monday, and I go over to his house and walk in. He said, hey, preacher, what you doing? I said, Mike, let me tell you what I want to do with you. He said, what's that? I said, brother, I want to grab your sorry tail and throw it out on the yard, and I want to beat the devil out of you right in the front yard. Preacher, what would you say that to me for? I said, because you used me, you used our church visitation program after you stole money from your wife to get you to your drug house so that you could buy dope. And I said, I'm not happy with that at all. So sure enough, Mike gets offended. I don't know why. And he quits church.
Yeah.
Right.
So he quit church. So fast forward about 4, 5, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. So this lady calls me on the phone. She says, preacher, this is so-and-so. I said, good. How are you? And she says, I'm not doing good. She said, you remember that big old boy you brought to my house here several weeks ago? This was the old drunk's house we went to visit. Yeah. He's sitting in my living room, and he's as drunk as he can be. I need you to come get him out of my house.
Oh, my.
So I've got to go over there and get this drunk guy out of an old drunk's house, and the old drunk's as sober as he can be today.
Wow.
So I take my tie off. Last thing I told him was I wanted to whip him, so I took my tie off. He wasn't going to choke me to death with my tie.
Right.
And so I go over there. I walk up on the porch, walk in the door, and he looks up at me and said, what are you doing here, preacher? I said, I'm coming to get you out of these people's house. I ain't leaving. I said, oh, yeah, you are. You're leaving, and you're leaving right now. I ain't going nowhere. I said, you going to leave, and that's just all there is to it. You're coming with me, and we're leaving. He said, I ain't leaving. I want my liquor. I said, you ain't going to get your liquor. You're leaving. And so he comes outside, buddy. He gets outside in the yard, and he looks down at me, and he said, "You know what I don't like about you?" I said, "What do you not like about me?" He said, You don't let me pat my foot in church." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You said I couldn't pat my foot in church." I said, "I didn't say anything about patting your foot in church." He said, "I can't dance." I said, "Well, of course you can't dance." I said, "But I didn't say anything about patting your foot in church." And then he got this real mean look on his face. He looked at me and he said, "You know what you said you wanted to do to me?" Well, that's the last thing I said I wanted to do.
It's go time now.
It's get it on now.
Yeah.
So he just had nose surgery from a previous car accident, and he had all this tape over his face. And he said, "You know what you say you want to do to me?" So I squared up. And I said, "I'm going to hit him right in that fresh, brand new surgery is what I'm fixing to do."
You finna get him.
And he said, "You remember?" I said, "Yeah, I remember." He said, "Boo." "Boo, preacher. I'm going to lay down here in the road. You just get on top of me. Just beat me. Just beat me, preacher." I said, "Get out of here. Get it. You just get."
Yeah.
And he just took off walking. That's the last time I've ever seen him.
Only you could have a story like
Nuts,
that.
man.
Hey,
Crazy
that ain't the only time. I don't know how much time we got left, but he coming out of Camden. Remember that
coming
time?
out of Camden and got behind this guy. I mean, he's all over Interstate 20. And so I get on the phone, call the law. I said, "Man, there's a drunk guy out here on the interstate." So we've been trying to find him. Nobody knows how to tell us because he's on the interstate. They don't know where they're at. That's why I'm behind him. I'll just stay behind him till y'all get here. And so he pulls off he sees I'm behind him. He pulls off the exit. He pulls in this motel. And I walk over there to him, and he jumps out of his truck on me, and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Man, you having trouble driving?" He said, I'm just trying to see if I can help you here." "You ain't helping me. Ain't nobody going to help me." I said, "Brother, I can't let you drive." Mm-hmm. He said, "You ain't going to stop me." And I said, "I can't let you drive." He said, "You ain't doing nothing." And he climbed in the truck, jerked him out of the truck, and it was on. Before I knew it, he is bleeding and I was bleeding, and the law pulls up and hauls him to jail. That's the short version.
Wow.
There was a whole lot went into it. But
See, all mine's like funny events. Brother Andy has to get rowdy with his.
Get rowdy.
I'm enjoying the uneventfulness of my stories. I don't end up with stitches or, in the ER or the PD. You know what I mean?
But you ain't got no good stories to tell.
Well, maybe not. I'll take that
story.
leg back. Yeah, that's true.
Amen.
True.
Hey, we're just trying to tell you, serving the Lord, it's eventful. They ain't no telling what you're going to deal with. They ain't no telling. Yeah. But I have a lot of fun doing it.
Absolutely.
And we'll check in with another one of these episodes because I got a million of them.
Oh, Lord, yeah. We ain't even going into youth camp.
No. Oh.
Yeah.
I tell them about the guy I kidnapped.
I don't even know if I've heard this story or not. This may be good.
Yeah, it's a good story. Well, we'll get that next time. Hey, from the Higher Grounds Podcast, thank you for joining us today. And you keep pressing on the upward way.